Good afternoon, everyone. I'm delighted to welcome you to the opening of two new exhibitions at Sharjah Art Foundation today, Henok Melkamzer, Telsem Symbols and Imagery, and Lalalook in the Round. We start here at Sharjah Art Museum with Henok Melkamzer, Telsem Symbols and Imagery, the first major presentation of Telsem Art in the region, and the artist's most extensive solo exhibition to date. The more than 100 works on view offer audiences a rare look at a distinctive and highly intricate art form. Henok's evolving body of work is a testimony to a tradition largely unrecognized by Western art history. Shaped throughout the ages by the socio-political and cultural histories of Ethiopia, Telsem re-articulates the world today by addressing critical contemporary problems related to climate, war, and poverty. In the realization of this exhibition, we're grateful to the Africa Institute and the Sharjah Museum's authority whose support has made this exhibition possible. Exhibition curator Elizabeth Giorgis, Associate Professor of Art History, Theory, and Criticism at the Africa Institute, has been essential to the initiation and realization of this project. We're very grateful for Elizabeth's generosity in sharing her knowledge and scholarship and allowing all of us to appreciate this important Ethiopian art form. We would also like to express our immense gratitude to the artist, Henok Melkamzer, for his tireless creativity and commitment to an art form that brings new insights to our world today. We will learn more about Henok's art practice in a talk moderated by Elizabeth, and the talk will be followed by a tour of the exhibition. After the tour, please stay with us for the second part of our program in Al-Mreja, where we will see the works of the late artist, activist, and pedagogue Lalalook. I hope you enjoy exploring both exhibitions tonight. Thank you all for being here, and please join me in welcoming Henok and Elizabeth for a discussion.
Thank you. I have to read because I don't want to forget anybody. So thank you for all for coming to see this exhibition of Telsem paintings by Henok Melkamzer. She had a warhead. This will be the first time that Henok's work is exhibited at such a large scale, although he's been working on Telsem since he was 7 years old. So this exhibition came to light because of Shihahur Al-Qasimi, who saw his work in Addis 4 years ago in his studio high up on the mountain of Ntoto. Professor Salah was there as well, who liked his work and soon after exhibited him at the Lahore Biennale, where she was the curator. And when I asked Shihahur to exhibit his work here at Sharjah, she really gave me the permission and encouraged me to do so. So I really want to thank Hur for opening up the space for such beautiful works that otherwise would not have been possible in other museums of this stature. And Salah always reminds us that she has opened up spaces that would not have been possible in the West. And today, what she's exhibited here, Salah always mentions Salahi, Kamala, Ibrahim. We see these artists going to important spaces, to the Tate and everywhere. They began here, though. So we're hoping Henok could do the same. But having said that, I would also like to thank the incredible staff of the Sharjah Art Foundation, who are not only professional, but also accommodating to the various demands I've imposed on them. Shiha Nawar Al-Qasimi for being encouraging from the beginning. Jiwan Lee, manager of the curatorial team. Ammal Ali, the assistant curator who organized the whole thing. Shara El Omrani, we call her Shara the Libyan because Shara the Sudanese is at the Africa Institute. So Shara the Libyan, I call her, who's an amazing architectural designer from the production team, and who took care of the shape of the museum. Joy Tidar, I didn't see her today, who did the fantastic podcast of Speaking of Art, a conversation between me, Hur, Henok, and the backstory video of his work. She had put up with many of my tantrums with a smile. I made her do the video over again because I didn't like it. So thank you, Joy T. And all the staff of SAF who helped them get it together, and the Sharjah Museum Authority for giving us the space. I would also like to thank the staff of the Africa Institute, my colleagues, Sarah, Satan, and Ximena, who did a beautiful essay that's going to come out on the catalog in April. And my boss and mentor, last but not least, who had always been with me in my career as art historian and curator, Salah Hassan. I'm always indebted to her. And then, before I come to Henok, although she's not here today, I really like to thank the artist Julie Miratu. Most of you know her, whose work sold for $10 million the other day at an auction, and who is really the one who really pushed me to do this, to promote Henok. The first time that I was invited to Sharjah after the March meeting in 2016, Salah invited me to participate in the Global Africa Conference. I was debating whether to come or not. And Julie was at Henok's studio at Ntoto. She said, you gotta go blow their minds up with this with his paintings. And she really pushed me, and she's written a little something on the brochure. So I'd like to thank her, even if she's not here. So last but not least, the artist himself, Henok Melkamzer, who worked diligently for the last 3 years with these phenomenal works, over 100 paintings, about 119 paintings in the last 3 years. They've never been shown anywhere before. This is the first time it'll be shown. Thank you, Henok, for sharing this beautiful tradition with the wider public here in Sharjah, and hopefully it will go elsewhere. So today you know, English is not that great, but we've insisted that he speak in English, and I can translate whatever he can't do. So he's going to begin explaining about Telsem, when he started and all that. I'm not going to dictate to you. You do your...
Thank you for everyone. Thank you for Sharjah Art Foundation. Today, it's just like my birthday. Talisman is very ancient Ethiopian knowledge until when they came from the colonists. So I born in Addis. I grew up with my grandfather. My grandfather, his name is القي. So I visit him after my class for 90 days, and he studied he teach me about for a talisman. Talisman is used for medicine, for art, for war, and for agriculture. So I studied with him like in 16 years. So this is a talisman. They have, if you understand a talisman, they have like very secret 5 things. If you know about for the words, numbers, images, vine and color, and 13 months calendars. We have 13 months, it's not like in colonialists, like the 12 months. So this is the whole about of the talisman symbols. The talisman signs like 367 days is 1 year. Most of them, they believe like 365. My grandfather, he teach me about from these 7 things. It means they represent of the 7 days, it means like 1 week. So that one of the part of in here, like in September, October, and to leap year, the dawn of the stars like in September 1, 2, 3, 4. All of the paintings are making from in here.
All the symbols here are represented in the paintings,
yes,
right?
Of course, yes.
Most of them.
Most of them.
Okay.
Every painting they start from these calendars. If you don't understand the calendars and the words, numbers, images, and colors, you can't drawing. These 5 things are basic things. Image, numbers, words, vine and colors, and 13 months calendars.
Okay, so can you talk about the vines, for example?
Vines, they have connection with the natures and with human beings. The colors, the same thing, they're connecting from human bodies and human natures. And the 30 months, everybody, they have a day when they come from this planet, right? They have connection, the calendar with a talisman. So the beginning, the talisman, they're building by words and the numbers, because God, they're creating from these words, by numbers and words. Talismans, they start from there. Images are very important, because we have images, different kind of human images and animal images, like birds images. That one is very important for the talisman. So vine and color, they retoast from these 4 things.
Yeah, okay, so these are the vines.
Yeah.
The vines are interconnected, interconnected like, in all the paintings that you see here in this exhibition, there's vines. The vines are interconnected. The interconnectedness means the connection between the human being amongst each other, number one, because human beings have the same human traits. So there's that connection, plus human beings tied up to the earth, human beings tied up to the galaxy, human beings tied up to the environment. So that's what the vines represent. So the vines go with 7 shades of color, right? Yeah, okay, what are the 7 shades?
The 7 shapes is when you see from Ethiopian alphabetic, they start from of how, who, he, ha, he, ho, means they represent of the colors. And before the colors, the talisman mysterious stuff, before when I paint, they have too much calculations. Because talisman, if you understand the talisman, if you know about words and the numbers, without numbers and words, you can't get it from this all of the vines. That's
always a calculation to do the work. Okay, so the calculation, okay, these are, okay, Henok is doing acrylic on canvas right now, so he's making it contemporary, he's making it modern. But these are ephemeral objects, they're just made one time for a person who has an illness, for a person who has evil spirit, for a person who, whatever. Person asks you to do something for him, to do for purpose of something, right? So that calculation goes with the person's birth date, with the person's mother's name, and with the zodiac of the zodiac of the sign. So that calculation is made with the calculation with the 13 months of sunshine and the 7 days of the week. They don't tell you, these are all secrets. I don't know how it's calculated because they don't tell you, because it's a generation, it comes from generation to generation. He learned most of his craft from his father and his grandfather, but he didn't, I only know certain symbols that I asked continuously to understand this whole thing. So this I can tell, I don't know what the calculations are, but that's how they calculate and make the painting so that it serves the purpose of, wiping out the evil spirit or healing somebody or like a medicinal purpose. So that's the numbers that he's talking about. Okay.
Well, my grandpa, when I teach for the talisman they use like 4 things, for medicine, agriculture, for a war, and for art.
Okay, so for what is it? For agricultural purposes, for the drought not to happen and hope the vegetation comes, one, okay.
And the second for a medicine.
For medicinal purposes?
For medicinal purpose. For a war.
War, against war.
Against war.
Okay. Not to create war. And the fourth one is? Okay, for peace, let's say for peace. Okay, the fourth one is?
And for art and music, for everything.
Just to entertain yourself type of, okay. So there's 4 kinds of articulations of the painting. Right. Okay.
So
okay.
I chose to, I know everything, but I chose to, my interest is about for the art.
For the art. So you for this exhibition, you only concentrated on the art and music part.
Right.
Okay. So they're done only once. They're ephemeral. They're only done once. So they disintegrate after a while. But for this right now, painters like Henok live in the modern world. So they want to make it accessible to the modern public as well. So they do acrylic on canvas. But traditionally, it was done with vegetal dye, and it was done on parchment. But it has evolved since then. Okay, so the face. Can you go with the face? The face is this one?
Yeah, the faces, they represent for a man, they represent of the woman, they represent of birds. They have different kinds of meanings.
What's the meaning?
Yeah, the meaning means if you make a talisman, some people are interested in what you need. Say some people need for protection something, some people they're interested about, I don't know, somebody's interested in what they interest. So you can calculate the names, the mother names, and everything. It just, they come in first, the images on the painting.
Okay, so the image of the painting represents existence, አይደል? Existence. So, በአማርኛ በለው እስቲ።
በአማርኛ በአንድ ጠልሰም ውስጥ አንድ ሰው ፍላጎት ይኖረውና ያ ፍላጎቱ ካልኩሌሽኑ ከተሰራ በኋላ ቁጥር አለ ከዛ ደግሞ
ቅድም ያልነው ነው። the face
የጉዳዩን መግለጫ ናቸው ፌሶች።
Okay, so it's personifying existence, right. Basically. Okay, so that's that. Now, what else? So, Telsem artists believe that it predates Christianity. This is a centuries-old tradition. Christianity came to Ethiopia at the 4th century AD. These types of paintings were pre-lived Christianity, but Christianity had appropriated most of the images that's on Telsem. For example, in the Christian manuscripts, you see these squares. The squares that represent Matthew, who else? Huh? Matthews, huh?
Matthews, Lucas, and the Arab.
Matthew, Lucas, and who?
Matthews, no, the bird is, the lion.
Yeah, anyway.
No, talisman, they represent more about like
no, not the talisman, the Christian symbol. They represent Matthew, Lucas, whatever. Yeah. Anyway, in talisman, it's different. It's the ox. What is
ox,
it? Oh.
the cow,
the lion, and the eagle. So, but that Christianity appropriated that and made it to Matthew, Lucas, whatever. That's what they say. And another thing is, Telsem Art differs from, the translation differs from artist to artist. So this is his knowledge of Telsem. So he's not, it doesn't encompass other people's knowledge of Telsem. So it's Henok's thing that I'm articulating here. I haven't talked to any other Telsem painter, so my knowledge of Telsem comes from him. So that's basic. What else do you want to talk about? So some are dense like like these ones.
Right.
Why are you dimming it like that?
Okay, it's about of the titles. What I chose to my title, እኔ ስመርጥ ይሄንን ለመስራት ነገሮቹ በካልኩሌሽን የመጡትን ነገሮች ነው ኤግዛክትሊ እዛ ላይ ማስቀምጠው እና የካልኩሌሽኑ ውጤት ነው እንደዚህ አይነት መልክ የሚያመጣው።
He said it's the result of the calculation that determines whether it should be dense or kept light. So I don't know what the calculation is. He's not going to tell you either, but you have to take it. You have to take it as is. So, shall I do? Go ahead.
But this series is completely different.
Yeah.
Than the more recent work.
Yeah.
You can explain this shift.
Yeah. Why, yeah, for me too, it was different. So we got used to this type of Telsem painting. So why are these different than the ones that were densely populated? All Telsems do not have the same behaviors or the same characteristics. Okay. They depend on the rotation of the sun and the sun and the moon. Okay, go ahead. No? So that's why they're... So, all the answers is going to be the calculation is determined on the rotation, on the numbers that he does, on the rotation of the moon and on the sun, and that's what determines the image and the final analysis. So that's why, initially he did this, but these paintings were done later on because the calculations that he did on these paintings determined the kind of image that's going to come out. Yeah, okay, he said the paintings look similar maybe to you, but for him they're not similar. Like these ones, they're not similar because they represent different things. So, do you have any questions? Where are you going?
Maybe a question for both of you. I mean, of course, he's an artist and it is really his own articulations of the painting, but I wanted to see from your perspective, how do you place it within the discourse of the modern, within African? That is one element. The other element is that how his work differ in comparison to other artists who actually use the language or at least kind of quoted or selectively chose symbols like Iskandar Bogosian, Wasoni, and all of them who played also with the alphabet and with aspects of the Telsem too.
Actually, Iskandar used most of this, but this is a larger version of the Telsem. Iskandar used in most of his paintings, the smaller one, what they call magical scrolls. He used it as motifs in most of his paintings. So that was an influence for him too, although Iskandar never understood what they meant. He took the image as like an African motive that he wanted to incorporate in his paintings, and the beauty of the image too. He was immersed by that. He didn't really know. He knew it had a complex meaning, but he really didn't know the meaning. For me, okay, when I got interested in these paintings, like I said on the podcast, I used to be the director for the Institute of Ethiopian Studies. A lot of European scholars used to come to source the illuminated manuscripts. Beautiful, Henok was at the Islamic Museum yesterday, and she was seeing the similarity between Islamic manuscripts and Christian manuscripts, illuminated manuscripts. And nobody studied the trade route, the influence by, back and forth. So that should be studied. That's probably one thing that I'm going to take on in the future, but fascinating. Anyway, they came there to study the history of Christianity at the same time. The aesthetics that was produced with the history of Christianity too. So illuminated manuscripts, they used to come. But what interested them with these paintings too, they were interested in the Telsem, done by Christians too. These are done, Henok is an Orthodox Christian, but really look down in the Christian religion, because they look at them as scribes or as astrologers. They're talking about medicinal things that Christ can save, but they're doing this because they think they're Christ. So they're looked down in the church, although they also practice church rituals with learned clergymen. So Europeans really concentrated on that medicinal type of thing. It's talisman, it's like it's talisman, it's medicinal, it's spiritual, magical roles, like magical realism type of thing. So that classification always bothered me. And in the beginning, even when I didn't know the Henok to begin with, I was telling in the podcast, for example, Holland Cotter, who is a critique of modern contemporary art, showed at the Museum of African Art in 1997, he said visual knockout, but then really categorized it again as healing art, not in the larger narrative of modernism. So my interest was, this is aesthetically beautiful piece done in the modern world. Henok is not from 2,000 years ago. He's right here with us, living in the modern world, and he's experiencing the modern world. He's articulating the modern world. He lives in Ntoto. Ntoto, there's so many things happening in Ntoto, but there's like urbanism is demolishing Addis Ababa left and right, and he's nearing Ntoto. He's thinking about that. So he's thinking about that, trying to get a remedy through Telsem, maybe. I don't know. I'm just saying he lives in the modern world. He's expressing the modern existence, so he should be considered a modernist, as any other artist who's done, who studied modern art through the School of Fine Art and Design in Addis Ababa, through European European knowledge production. Like this is what's called modern. So you're going to articulate modernism this way. But he articulates even more aesthetically more beautiful than some of the artists that are producing. So why not? My thing is, why isn't he considered a modernist artist? And that's because he's categorized as an anthropological object from tradition. Tradition is not static. We live tradition today. So we're living the historical past, but articulating it in the present. So that's my whole argument for art history, and that's why I was very enamored by the works. And these are beautiful works. I've never seen works like this with modern art, Ethiopian modern artists at least. Even some of the artists you exhibit. Anyway, but yeah, so that's my argument for Henok, and I'm really grateful that we're showing him here, because it's already categorized as healing art, magical scroll. It would never happen at the Museum of African Art in Washington. It will be categorized because it's classified that way. But here I'm saying, this is modern. We live in what is modern anyway? What's modern and non-modern? We have to understand that too. What is modernism, I live in today, I'm a modern woman, and I articulate my experience as a modern person. And that's what exactly he's doing. So you have something to add? I talk too much, but...
Yeah, already explain everything.
Okay. So we have like 5 minutes. I'll take one question or... Okay, Jeanette.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you so much. This is beautiful and fascinating. And I was really fascinated by your comments, because I feel like there is a certain disconnect between what you're saying and then this effort of finding kind of in the epistemology of modern art, the concepts that are like trying to capture what he does, and somehow it doesn't really work because he doesn't really care about these concepts, if I understand you properly. Like you do something that is, you know, as you said, it rooted in something, but also looking to the future, doesn't worry about these conceptual binaries that modern art history, you were just talking about this, like, is it healing, is it art, how do you bring this together, is it a ritual, is it, you know, folklore, whatever, like, that's beyond, and I think this is so beautiful about this art that it forces us to really decolonize the concepts we work with and say, you know, these concepts, they all just don't make sense, and we need perhaps something completely different. So thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you so much. And this is knowledge too. I mean, he doesn't have to philosophize about what modernism means, and this is knowledge. This has been a knowledge that's been, it's a tradition, an intellectual tradition that's come this far. So take it like it is. He doesn't have to talk about, oh, Fanon said that, so let me explain this through Fanon. No, this is knowledge on its own. So we have to understand it in its own interiority, you know? And that's what we have today. So I'm running out of time. Thank you all for coming. The curatorial tour is not going to be done by me because I'm not going to take a wheelchair and go around. Ximena has volunteered to do the curatorial tour. So, with Henok, definitely, yeah. Henok is there. Ximena is going to translate. And enjoy the work. Beautiful. Thank you all for coming.